You open your banking app on a random Tuesday morning, look at your checking account, and the number staring back at you is essentially the same as the one that was staring back a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. You're working, you're earning money, you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, but somehow your financial life is just stuck. And the worst part? You scroll Instagram or TikTok and you see a 24-year-old talking about how their portfolio just crossed 6 figures. And you're sitting there like, what am I doing wrong? Why does everyone else seem to get this except me?
Yeah, I've been there. And if that sounds familiar, stay with me. Because this video is going to change the way you think about money permanently. My name is Luis, and I spend way too much time thinking about the stock market, compound interest, and why they don't teach any of this in school. If you're someone who knows you should be investing, but you have no idea where to actually start, or maybe you've been too scared to put real money on the line, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. I genuinely mean that. This channel only grows when you do that, and I want to get this information in front of as many people as possible, because it actually matters.
Here's the thing most people don't realize. The biggest risk in investing isn't losing money. It's not investing at all. I know that sounds like something you'd read on a motivational poster, but let me show you the math, because the math is honestly kind of brutal.
Let's say you're 25 years old right now. You start investing $300 a month into a simple index fund that tracks the S&P 500. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned roughly 10% per year on average, going back to 1926. That's data from NYU Stern School of Business. This isn't some number I'm pulling out of thin air. At that rate, by the time you're 65, that $300 a month turns into approximately $1.9 million. You put in $144,000 of your own money over those 40 years. The market gave you the rest. That's over $1.7 million you didn't earn from a paycheck. You earned it by just being patient. Now, here's where it gets painful. Let's say instead of starting at 25, you wait until you're 35. Same $300 a month, same return. By 65, you'd have around $720,000. That's still great, but you just lost over $1 million by waiting 10 years. Let that sit for a second. $1 million. Gone. Not because you made a bad investment, not because the market crashed, but because you waited. Look, I'm not saying this to stress you out. I'm saying this because time is literally your greatest asset. And every single month you're not investing, you're leaving money on the table that you will never get back. Now, you might be thinking, Luis, that's great, but the stock market is basically gambling, right? My uncle lost a bunch of money in 2008, and my coworker lost money during COVID. It's risky. And I get it. I really do. But let me challenge that for a second. Here's what most people don't realize. According to data from JP Morgan's Guide to the Markets, if you invested in the S&P 500 on any random day between 1950 and today and held for at least 20 years, your chances of losing money were essentially zero. Not low, zero. Every single 20-year rolling period in the S&P 500's modern history has been positive. Every one. So when people say the stock market is risky, what they really mean is the stock market is risky if you treat it like a slot machine. If you're jumping in and out, trying to time the market, buying meme stocks because someone on Reddit said it's going to the moon, yeah, you're going to have a bad time. But if you invest consistently and you hold for the long term, the data overwhelmingly says you're going to build wealth. It's not even close. The problem isn't the stock market. The problem is human psychology. We are wired to panic. When the market drops 20%, every instinct in your body screams, sell. Get out, protect yourself. But historically, that's the exact worst time to sell. A study from Dalbar found that the average individual investor earned roughly 3.5% annually over the past 30 years, while the S&P 500 returned over 10%. Same market, wildly different outcomes. The difference? Behavior. People panic sell during dips and then buy back in after the recovery, which is literally buying high and selling low. The exact opposite of what you want to do. Think of it like this. Imagine you go to your favorite store. Everything is 30% off. You'd be excited, right? You'd buy more stuff. But when stocks go 30% off, people run for the exits. It doesn't make sense when you actually think about it logically. Okay, so now that we've got the mindset right, let's talk about what you actually do. Because I know a lot of finance videos throw around fancy terms and theory, but never tell you the concrete steps. I'm not going to do that to you. Step 1. Open a brokerage account. This is just an account that lets you buy investments. I'd recommend starting with something simple and beginner-friendly. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or Vanguard are all solid choices. They don't charge commissions on trades, and they've been around for decades. You can open an account in maybe 10 minutes from your phone. It's genuinely that easy. One thing I will say, if your employer offers a 401k with a match, do that first. If your company matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary, that's literally a 50% instant return on your money. That's free money. Take it before you do anything else. Step 2. Decide what to invest in. And look, I'm going to keep this simple because I think the finance world overcomplicates this on purpose. For most beginners, you don't need to pick individual stocks. You don't need to analyze earnings reports or learn what a price-to-earnings ratio is right now. What you need is a broad market index fund, something like VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, or VTI, which tracks the entire U.S. stock market essentially. When you buy one share of VTI, you're instantly diversified across thousands of companies. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, small companies, mid-sized companies, all of it. One purchase, done. Even Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, has said that for most people, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund is the best investment they can make. And this is a guy who picks stocks for a living. When he tells you to just buy the index, you should listen. Step 3. Automate it. This is the secret weapon that nobody talks about enough. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account into your brokerage account every single payday. It could be $50. It could be $500. The amount matters way less than the consistency. When you automate it, you take emotion completely out of the equation. You're not waking up on a Monday wondering if now is a good time to invest. The money just moves. You invest in good months and bad months, which means sometimes you're buying when prices are low, and sometimes when they're high. And over time, that averages out in your favor. This strategy is called dollar cost averaging, and it's one of the most powerful tools you have as a regular person. Step 4. Don't touch it. Seriously, this is the hardest part and also the most important part. Your job after you invest is to do absolutely nothing. The market will drop. It always drops at some point. And you're going to feel that urge to sell. Ignore it. Remember the Dalbar study I mentioned earlier? The people who lose in the stock market are the people who can't sit still. Be boring. Boring investors become wealthy investors. This is where it gets really interesting, because I want to show you how these steps scale. Let's say you're making $60,000 a year. You decide to invest 15% of your income, which is $750 a month. At a 10% average annual return, here's what happens. After 10 years, you've got about $153,000. After 20 years, you're sitting on roughly $517,000. After 30 years, it's over $1.4 million. And after 35 years, you cross $2 million. $2 million. From $750 a month, you never picked a single stock. You never watched CNBC. You never stressed about what the Fed was doing. You just invested consistently into a boring index fund and let compound interest do what it does. Here's a quick story. I have a friend. I won't say his name, but he started investing when he was 23. He wasn't making a ton of money at the time, maybe $45,000 a year. He put away $400 a month into index funds. Every month. Didn't miss one. Through COVID, through inflation scares, through everything. He's 31 now, and his portfolio is over $70,000. And a significant chunk of that is pure market gains, not money he deposited. He told me recently that it feels like his money is finally working harder than he is. And that's exactly the point. That's what this whole thing is about. Getting to the place where your money generates more money than your job does. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. The biggest thing standing between most people and building real wealth isn't information. You can Google everything I just told you. The biggest obstacle is the story you tell yourself. I don't make enough money to invest. I'll start next year when things calm down. I'm not smart enough to understand the stock market. None of those is true. You can start with literally $10 on most platforms now. Things will never calm down. There's always a reason to wait, and waiting is the most expensive decision you'll ever make. And you don't need to be smart. You need to be consistent. And that's it. Consistency beats intelligence in investing every single time. The wealth gap in this country isn't just about income. It's about knowledge. It's about knowing that these tools exist and having the confidence to use them. A Federal Reserve survey found that only about 61% of American families own any stock at all, directly or indirectly. That means nearly 40% of families are completely missing out on the single greatest wealth-building vehicle in modern history. Don't be in that 40%. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Open a brokerage account if you don't have one. Set up an automatic investment into a broad market index fund. Even if it's $50 a month, start. Because the best portfolio in the world is worthless if it only exists in your head. 5 years from now, you're going to look back at this moment as the turning point. The day you stopped watching from the sidelines and actually got in the game. If this video helped you, smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. And drop a comment below telling me what's been your biggest barrier to investing. I read every single one, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. I'll see you in the next one.